There are two stories about the first Rebbe of Chabad, which seem to contradict one another, and each one of them is interesting, very interesting in its own right, very strange. First story, the first Rebbe of Chabad was the youngest of the pupils of the successor of the Baal Shem Tov. The successor of the Baal Shem Tov was called the Magid of Mezrich, Reb Dovber of Mezrich. And Dovber of Mezrich, he took over from the Baal Shem Tov, and he started spreading out the ideas of Chassidut in writing. It was advertising. Some of his pupils were very against this idea. They thought the ideas of Chassidut, especially because they contained ideas of Kabbalah, should be very restricted, and you had to be very careful whose hands they fell into, because it could be misinterpreted, talking about the oneness of God and the uniqueness of the Jewish people. These are very touchy subjects, and they have to be interpreted properly. But the Maggid of Mezrich said, no, these are not ideas of Kabbalah. They use ideas of Kabbalah, but the idea of Chassidut is that it should be distributed to all mankind. So they would, all Jews. So they had papers, writings that they would distribute about the teachings of Chassidut. Well, one day, the Maggid of Mezrich, the big teacher, the successor of the Baal Shem Tov, and the first Rebbe of Chabad, who he was the youngest of the pupils, 60 pupils they say they had, and one of the opposers of this idea of disseminating the ideas of Chassidut just freely, his name was Rabbi Pinchas of Koretz. They were walking down the street and they saw in the gutter a page of Chassidut. A page of Chassidut. So he said, look what you've done. Your ideas have fell into the hands of people that obviously don't value them at all. Somebody must have just thrown this into the street. And here it's the Holy Torah is laying in the gutter. So immediately the first Rabbi Shneur Zalman, he was like I said before, the youngest of the pupils. They were always walking together. So he said, I want to give you an example. Why it's a good thing. What you just saw is a good thing. A good thing. The Holy Torah, the ideas of Kabbalah leading in the gutter. And back then, the gutter was a real gutter. I mean, they didn't have, proper sewage and things like that. So the first Rebbe of Chabad said, listen to my parable and you'll understand. Once there was a king, a great, powerful, wise, benevolent king. And he had a son. And his son was as beautiful and intelligent as he was, the prince. And he was a young boy, maybe 10 years old. But he had all the qualities of rulership and kingship like his father, royalty like his father did. Well, one day his son got sick. And he got more and more ill. And they brought doctors and professors and experts, and nothing helped. And finally, the boy was on the edge of death. He was about to lose his life. They didn't know what to do. Came one wise man, and he said, I know what the disease is, and I know what the cure is, but I don't think you'll be willing to do it. The king said, to save my son, I'll be willing to do anything. I'll give my own life. He said, well, it's not that severe, but what you do have to do is find a diamond, pure diamond, that's weighs 1 ounce, and big diamond, huge diamond, and grind this diamond up. And then it has to be mixed in water properly. I know how to mix it. And then we'll give it to your son to drink. He's in bad shape. It's a big doubt if any is going to go into his mouth. And if it goes into his mouth, it's a big doubt if he'll swallow any. But if even a little drop does get swallowed, he swallows it, then he's got a chance he's going to live. Then he will live for sure. So, but where are we going to get such a diamond? So the king said, no problem. I have a diamond. He takes off his crown. He says, here's the diamond. It's like the diadem, the crown, the ultimate diamond in his crown. It's like the splendor of the king's kingdom. But he doesn't care. So sure enough, he takes off the the crown, and this wise man removes somehow or other the diamond, and he knows how to crush it up. Crushing up a diamond is not easy, and he knows how to mix it, and he starts pouring it into the boy's mouth. And sure enough, he puts a little funnel in there. Sure enough, 90% of this doesn't go into his mouth. And what does go into his mouth, 99% of it, he spits up. But one little drop went in, and that saved the boy. So that's the example. The sick boy here is the Jewish people. The Jewish people are floundering. They're gasping for life. We have to save them. The only thing that's going to save them is the crown of the king. That's the Torah, and the diamond in the crown are the secrets of the Torah. But they have to be imbibed properly. That can't be done if it's just a diamond. So we have to know how to crush it up, and we have to take these ideas and make them edible. So we have to crush it up. Exactly how to mix it in with the water, and then we have to start pouring it, teaching it to the Jews. And 90% of it will be rejected. And what does go into people's minds, a very small amount, only 1% will go into their hearts. But if a little bit does go in, that for sure is going to save the Jews. That's what you see in the gutter. The secrets of the Torah, grinding them up and making them edible, digestible, that's Chassidut. Taking the ideas, teaching it to the world, that's spreading it out everywhere we can. And if a little bit goes in, it'll save the Jewish people. That's what we have to do. That's the goal. And that's why you see it in the gutter, because that's part of the 90% that didn't go in, or part of the 99% that did go in but got spit out. But if a little bit goes in, then even one Jew gets the genuine point of what Judaism is, then like Abraham was one Jew. And the more Jews, the better. That's why you saw this in the gutter. The second story, which contradicts this, will be told tomorrow.